Welcome here to the Ridealong channel out in Vassiliki on a sort of marginal day. It's semi-windy right now. I'm semi-powered up on a 5.9 Spy. But most importantly today, I'm talking about this board that I'm on. This is the KODE, a freestyle wave board from Starboard. And I'm going to explain the differences between riding this KODE and riding other boards that you might use, something a bit more free-ridey rather than freestyle wave. It really is quite a common question I get from students who are progressing and doing pretty well at getting to the straps, getting blasting, and maybe even getting around a few jibes now and then, is what comes next? People talk about these freestyle wave boards being great for bump and jump and carving, which they are. That's exactly what they're great for. Higher wind, bumpy conditions, kind of like I'm in just now, and especially going around a corner, they love it. But to get planing, and to hold the board onto the plane, they're not the same. They take a different style of techniques and a few little tricks you can do that I'm going to run you through just now. And then once you've got it, they start to feel pretty good. Now let me slow it down and show a little trick then. So on a general free ride board, something like a Carve, a Go or a Futura, all the Starboard models of free ride towards free race, they've got long-ish, fairly straight fins. And as such, that allows you to push sideways on the board, particularly using your back foot. And because of that big, long, straightish fin, you get lift, you get planing, you get speed. If you try to do that on something like this, this is the 105 KODE with a 21 centimetre centre fin and then two 11 centimetre thrusters on either side of it, the board would either sink and or turn into the wind, but it wouldn't start to get you planing. To get planing, you need front foot pressure, driving that board flat, getting the board up to speed before you then even think about putting that back foot in. Try that again. Got a bit of wind, starting upwind and pushing hard through that front foot. Getting the board up to speed by possibly bearing away a little bit more than I would say on a free ride board. You need that little bit more get up and go, a little bit more maneuverability, which like I said at the start, they're pretty good for. A lot of the board and the control comes now through the front foot rather than just shoving that board sideways. If I was to push the board sideways, either through my toes or my heel, especially if I'm in that back foot strap, the board starts to spin out a little bit and doesn't like what's being done to it. Front foot pressure, front foot heels, front foot toes. If I'm going to use the back foot a bit, it's more about lifting the toes than actually applying sideways pressure on the back foot. Let's do that at the end. Let's go upwind. Make sure there's no one behind me. The lift of the toes, and the board loves to turn. As a result of that, my stance is now much more upright than I would be on my freeride kit. The freeride kit, I'd be dropping down low into that Super 7, which would put a lot of sideways force. a loss of lateral force through the fin. And on something like a KODE, a freestyle wave, or even it's exactly the same on a freestyle board, if you would start trying to use the ignite and start getting super low and putting pressure on the back foot, the board would spin out and stop pretty quickly. Front foot pressure, probably a bit further off the wind than normal, drive that front foot with even a mighty kick. And then, there we are, no rush to step into the back foot. I can actually hold quite happily one-footed for a while. Because of that thruster setup, I don't need to be all the way out and down low. I can stay upright, and I've got a lot of leverage over the board. Not because of where I'm standing on the board, but because of that thruster setup underneath. And then this is where those boards become playful. Stepping into both straps, and we'll do some like flat water wave riding if you like. I've done a whole nother video on that, and you'll notice that I'm on the carve in there as well. Very much over the top of the board, so I'm not applying sideways pressure through these little fins. It's more about carving the board through the rail side to side rather than lateral pressure. Now, I said at the start, yes, these boards love to go around a corner, but what you'll find is actually holding the board on the plane towards the exit of the corner is harder because they're so sensitive to sideways pressure, foot pressure, and where you actually go. They do want to turn, but they're not as forgiving. They're not as comfortable, let's say, if you're just about staying on the plane. Once you get accurate on the plane, great fun. And in fact, the cool thing about these boards is if you are planing around your turns and doing pretty well in the jibes, this is the sort of board that you can start to tighten them up in. On a free ride, free racy board, I'm encouraging someone to go broad and deep. But as soon as you start getting onto these boards, you can turn them a lot tighter. As long as, getting hit in the head with the camera, as long as you're fairly accurate with your feet as you go around that turn. That was a strap-to-strap style. You can do the same step style. You still need to be fairly accurate in terms of that foot pressure. But, drop, push, there you go, look at that exit. Just like we saw before, trying to get onto the plane. That drop and push on the exit, staying out of the straps just a little bit longer. It's what's going to keep the board on the plane. Drop, stay out the straps, in the strap, back foot stays out, just to hold me on the plane. And to summarize slightly, you'll see it a lot with freestylers as well. Back foot stays out of the back foot strap. Trying to keep the board flat, trying to keep the board trimmed nicely, rather than the back foot pressure which will stall them into the wind, spin the board out, or stop the board. The other little tip I've got about freestyle waves and the KODEs is the sail selection. Now the board needs to match the sail. And by that I mean I'm on a Spy, which is a freestyle wave all-round sail from 0.7. It's stable, it's powerful, it's easy, but it's not a free race or a race-style cam sail of any sort. The cam sail or the free race, like my ACX, you may have seen in other videos I've done, it's got a big bottom belly down here. Creates loads of low-end grunt, loads of power, tons of stability, but if I were to put that on a freestyle wave board like this, the connection or the combo between the two just wouldn't work. I'd end up either not getting going, or if I did manage to get going, the board would constantly be spinning out and stalling. And it could be same said with the size of the sailors. They don't need to be super powered up the board. to get you onto the go. In fact, they want to go, providing you tickle them in the right way. They do want to get planing. So quite often, I'll downsize the sail and stick on this same size board, and we'll still be quite happy. So if I were to take a bigger spy right now, possibly I'd get going, but it wouldn't feel that nice. Whereas a big-ish freestyle wave like this, the 105, happily planing on a 5.9. But if I was going to up the sail size, I'd probably change to something a bit more free racy or free ridey, the carve, the go, maybe even a Futura or a Sonic. I'd be happy in these same winds on either of those setups. I'm only just powered up on this one. There's only just enough wind to actually keep me on the plane, and that's providing I'm doing what I just mentioned before. I'm fairly upright in my stance. The pressure and the control really is coming through my front foot, not the back one driving too hard. There is, of course, a bit of back foot pressure. It's changing between the two. But I suppose I'm more on the edge of getting thrown out the front door. I'm kind of on the edge of a catapult. Not quite, but that's the kind of power feeling that I want, fairly upright. Because as soon as I drop back and sink there, well, yes, I've got upwind, but I almost stopped straight away. And yes, it's definitely okay to be riding 1 foot in the strap. You don't have to go 2 feet. But I'd say the majority of the time on a KODE, unless I'm actually in the breaking wave and playing with something, my back foot is out, or at least loose. I've just stepped into it there, but you'll notice the back foot's loose in the strap. I can wiggle it around, but it is that little anchor point in case I feel like, whoa, I'm going to catapult. There's a little anchor point for me there. The final question I think I'll answer is it a freestyle board or is it a wave board? I think I'll do that once I've turned around. So I think the simplest answer to what type of board is this is it's neither. It's not a freestyle board or a wave board. If you're looking for something specific for learning new school freestyle, Vulcans, Flackers, and anything above that, you're going to want a freestyle board. You're going to want the Ignite. You're going to want the speed, the flatness, you're going to want the spin ability, if you like, and the extra pop that you can get from the freestyle board, as well as that tiny little fin to allow the board to release and spin. But if by freestyle you're meaning, let's say, old school freestyle, something like upwind, downwind threes, loops, jumps, various different jives or fun different style of tacks, more carving based freestyle, this is fantastic. This is absolutely what you want. In fact, some of the smoothest downwind threes you're going to get will be on a board just like this one. Similarly with wave riding, if you're looking for pure down the line wave riding and that's going to be your thing, this isn't the board for you. It's a great board and it can sort of do it, but definitely not as well as the other wave boards in the Starboard or other brand range. So if you want to go wave riding, get yourself an Ultra, personal favourite being the 78, nice, small, playful and super fun in the waves. But if you're going to be general free riding, bump and jump style windsurfing, kind of like I'm doing out here right now, this is my go-to board whenever the wind becomes 5.9 weather or smaller. And I can happily ride this 105, or I've got the 85 as well, that really starts to blow and pick up. That works for everything. It's a really nice hybrid that allows me to jump, spin, loop, play around, and do a little bit of everything, which I think is more what most people are looking for when they say, oh, should I get a freestyle or a wave? Which is best for me? I think that just about sums things up, folks. Thanks as always for joining me here on the Ridealong channel. Do remember there's lots more content through my Patreon link. I do a walk-along series answering loads of questions that people have that I don't need to be on a board riding like this, and I can just answer them every few days. I'll upload a walk-along session to the Patreon page. Or a lot of you guys, gotta be honest, are saying thanks very much for the videos. It's made my windsurfing really progress. I'm really enjoying reading this stuff. And a lot of you are saying, how can I buy you a beer or a coffee? That's the way to do it. Find me on the Patreon page, and I do really appreciate everything that you guys have put into there. And of course, all the comments in the bottom of this page too, or on the YouTube channel. So hopefully I'll see you out in the water here in Vassiliki. Leave me a comment, whack subscribe, and I'll see you on the Patreon page. See you later. Okay.